The Democratic Socialists of America are holding panel calling for the dismantling of inherently repressive and racist nuclear family. That's right, my friends. The nuclear family is a threat because it is repressive and racist to have a mommy and a daddy. The Democratic Socialists of America recently published a panel discussion from its annual Socialism Conference that featured open calls for the abolition of the nuclear family and traditional family structure in the U.S. The panel, titled The Left and the Family, a roundtable, took place on July 4th and was part of the Socialism Conference in Chicago. The video was uploaded to YouTube on a Friday, and DSA wrote in the caption that the nuclear family is inherently repressive, racist, and hetero-sexist institution that functionally reinforces and reproduces capitalism. I swear to God, man, these guys, they are so hell-bent on destroying capitalism that anything that reinforces it in any degree must be bad, must be evil. And I'll tell you where this comes from. The reason why the left is losing their minds now about this comes from the discovery, thanks to the welfare state here in the U.S., that if you destroy the nuclear family, you create permanent underclass voters who will vote you perpetually into power. You can see this with the black community, which has been, their culture has been destroyed here in the U.S. Roughly about 70% of black children in the U.S. today are now born to single-parent homes. And it also perpetuates poverty. And so the problem is people that need government assistance who are on these welfare systems, they tend to vote for the party that gives them the most stuff, which here in the U.S., it's the Democratic Party. And this is also, it ties back into why they're for open borders. In California, and I've talked about it here before, but in California, after amnesty in 1986, 70% of the Hispanic community voted Democrat because they were getting government assistance, the first generation. Welfare creates a permanent underclass of citizens who will vote for the party that gives them the most stuff. And I think this is the danger, and I think this is why you end up in a situation where it just the welfare systems, at least here in the States anyway, they tend to grow and grow and grow and never end because the government and the left, they realize that they can create perpetual power by promoting and by building this, so they don't want to get rid of it. Now, speakers, the post-millennial rights, included Emily Janakarim of the New York City for Abortion Rights, University of Chicago sociologist Emin Abdelhadi, Katie Gibson of the University of Chicago and BDS activist and Portland DSA member Olivia Catby. Throughout the discussion, panelists linked capitalism and the nuclear family, calling both oppressive systems in need of transformation. Now, what the would you replace this with? Is Big Daddy government going to be the new father and mother, and you just pop out your babies and hand it to them? What the are you talking about? Katie Gibson claimed that children born into low-income families are treated as if they've committed a crime, and criticized the legal authority of parents, saying, if you are Criticized the legal authority of parents, saying, if you are born into a home headed by a Christian fundamentalist tyrant, for instance, you have the rights that the Christian fundamentalist tyrant gives you. She also drew a comparison to the president. Okay. So what they're pushing here is government control of the kids. That's what they want. They want government here in the U.S., which has restrictions. They want government to be the parent, government to control your children. That's what these holes are pushing here.
On that revolutionary horizon, want to perform abortions in a church, but before it's all said and done.
The only real difference between marriage and prostitution is the price and the duration of the contract.
She actually says the only difference between marriage and prostitution is the duration. What? What the is wrong with this person? Holy shit. This reminds me, there was some, I can't remember her name right now, but there was some radical feminist back in the 60s or 70s who came out with the idea that all sex in marriage was rape. Holy shit. I can't believe she said that.
We can fight for family abolition. We can imagine family abolition.
Family abolition. Holy
because we have seen black women do it. Because we have seen these, indigenous.
She said, well, because we've seen black women do it. The only reason why black women are having single parent homes is because government is paying them a truckload of money to be single. And it does terrible things. Look at black culture today. It is a shadow of what it was even in the 90s. Holy shit.
Communities do it.
But, you know, to me, it is the institution of marriage can only exist alongside the criminalization of sex workers.
Children whose parents are unable to provide either housing, food, or safety are treated as if they have committed a crime. So kids themselves are treated
These people
as
are
if they have
crazy,
committed a
man.
crime if they're not born into a family that can support them.
In addition to abolition of family policing, you argue for abolition of the family in general, and say that the institution of the family acts as part of the carceral system in the way that it reinforces children as property.
I think the left is constantly surprised at how few people are, ready for revolt, despite, the extremely dire conditions that we're in that keep becoming more and more.
You know, you can tell that these are Karens. I mean, they're even wearing masks while they're up on stage. To be clear, it's U.S. black culture. Yeah, no. When I say black culture, I'm sorry, I'm referring to the U.S. Yeah, a U.S. black culture has degenerated into something that's horrifying. Now there are pockets where things are going well, but for the most part, black culture as a whole has been rotting for a long time. But man, these girls must be leaders of the Karenocracy. Holy shit. They're crazy.
Every day. Women and children are the most harmed by capitalism, but also women and
It's always women and children most affected. That's one of the classic things they say here in the U.S. Women and children most affected.
children are the architects of their fate.
So when we talk about family abolition, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the abolition of that economic unit. For me, that liberatory horizon is to say it is a horizon.
What would they even replace it with? Obviously, it would be some kind of, dystopian government factory for children, but what the fuck?
In which kinship and care are, in which all of our material needs are taken care of by the
In other words, Big Daddy government taking care of everything.
collective.
Sex work, the criminalization of sex work is like the dark underbelly of the sanctified, reified, and legally enforced institution of exchanging your bodily autonomy and your sexuality for economic security. I don't think one can exist without the other.
Oh my God, she's making my brain hurt. Now, Janakarim invoked a quote from the Burkina Faso revolutionary Thomas Sankara, saying, "The only real difference between marriage and prostitution is the price and duration of the contract." That's what we heard. And Abdelahadi, who appeared to portray herself as the more moderate panelist, still pushed beliefs that were in line with the family abolition sentiment of the event. She quoted a sociologist who said, "Other countries have welfare states, the U.S. has women," which drew approving laughter from the audience. And she described women as the permanent precariat responsible for all of the work the state is refusing to do. Man, the F word. So the new term for the F word is going to be family. I'm ambivalent about whether we use the F word, family, or not. But I think for me, it's about focusing on policies, right? And being really clear about the material benefits we're going to give people. You would generate children that would be completely traumatized without the family unit. Children need their parents. Optimally, both, if you can get them. Gives you that nice balance between a male and female traits, but holy shit. And then they're saying that the Republican Party provides a narrative that the left must offer a competing one with clear policy aims. She later applauded far-left proposals in line with New York Socialist mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, saying, "All of that stands out for me as the kind of work that we need doing." Abdelhadi briefly commented about Islam in America and refuted the argument that Muslim beliefs contradict DSA's worldview. Okay. Abdelhadi claimed that the community is largely progressive and permissive on issues like queer rights and trans rights. No, Islam is absolutely not friendly to those things. Try doing that in Iran. but is overshadowed by a loud minority. During a Q&A session, one self-identified Baptist minister from Austin, a DSA member in attendance, how could that person be a Baptist minister and believe in the abolition of family? Holy damn. Told the panelists that he wants to perform abortions at a church. Wow. Well, you know, they always talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing at the church. This would definitely be one of those. And another attendee asked about black feminism and previous injustices in the U.S., to which Abdelhadi responded by making her stance clear on the abolition of the nuclear family, saying, what we actually mean is the nuclear family as an economic unit, the way we live now, who your parents are, who you partner with, how many children you have. These are all economic conditions. And Abdelhadi described a future of liberatory horizon in which food, housing, education, and care are collectivized, of course, meaning you belong to the government from the moment you pop out of the womb. And she also claimed that groups disposable to capitalism, like black women and indigenous, meaning people that were here before the U.S. was founded, communities have already modeled this, and the world should follow suit. Wow. Okay, we've had enough of that crap.